What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Codex Station's Comic Character of the Week. We're taking one character, doing the deep dive on that character, giving the must-reads, the top covers, some badass moments, and of course, all the other good and plenty that goes with that. Tonight, I'm joined by the regular crew tonight. Down below is Dan the Man Kelly. Right over there is the Ric Flair of comics.
Woo!
And of course, next to me is the master builder himself, J-Dub. How you guys doing?
Doing all right.
All right.
Thursday
Good character
night.
we got tonight. Listen, look at that. Gary's got the character up already. If that was Sonny's character, would you be missing an arm or a leg or something?
To be
That's
missing some implants.
Yeah.
I was gonna have a different character, and you said that's not Mystique, and then I was gonna switch it out. So yes, it was.
Yeah, it was.
I thought,
dog. You fly dog.
yeah, I thought, nah, that's all right.
Fly dog. All right, well, let's get some business out of the way before we jump in and do all the character stuff. I'm your host tonight, Sal the Slab Guy. You can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner, and I can't even find the thing for it. Where am I?
You're at the Slavatorium. That's right.
There I am. There we go. Yes, coming to you live from the Slavatorium. But yes, find me on YouTube, folks, under Sal's Comic Corner, and Instagram as the Slab Guy 77 when this guy down here allows it. Dan, where can they find you when you're not doing Codex stuff?
Yeah, find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. I'm at 879 followers.
Dan Kelly Art.
Not going to crack 1,000 by the year, but maybe we can get 21 more and crack 900. So go give me a follow, give me some likes, and then this guy here.
Oh my gosh!
What can you say about him that we haven't already said? Rolex wearing, diamond wearing, wheeling dealing, styling and profiling, son of a gun. The Ric Flair of comics.
Woo!
Uncle Gary.
Well, thank you for all that. That Rolex looks like a Timex, but that's okay. Takes a licking and keeps on ticking, baby. So thank you for that. Appreciate that. If y'all are in the Northern Virginia area, you can come see me at Comic Logic, Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. We would love to see you. Ooh, look, matches Mystique.
There you go.
Come see us every. If you want to see me, Mike Harbor, Rob Kalin, our principal owner, come in on Wednesdays at 11 when we are getting our weekly fix of 4-color ink pumped into our veins. As I told you before, comic books make you strong, baby. Lifting those stacks and those long boxes. And the next thing you know, you are jacked and you are packed. Do some push-ups, too. Also, check out the Comic Character of the Day site, founded by our good buddy, Archduke Kevy. He is the reason, for good or ill, he is the reason we are acquainted, because we met on that site through our mutual love of comics. I supply a cover of the day. Dan has the wonderful random panel of the day that is usually an out of context panel that makes you go, huh? But it's always good, always fun, and he has question of the day. And Sal and Jamie are frequent contributors, making sure that we are giving you the content that you deserve. So check out the Archduke and that great site, Comic Character of the Day, that he started. So that kicks us back up to the master builder, the man with the plan that built this station brick by brick until we are live broadcasting from coast to coast with the information and the most up-to-date comic knowledge that you need to possess to walk through life. When you hear what we can say about this character, you will be so well informed tomorrow because you saw this show, and you couldn't have seen that show without that man with a vision, had a hell of a vision that created this right now, our one, our only master builder. J-Dub.
Thank you. Well, real fast, I do want to say also for Archduke Heavy, he does have another social out there. Guys, go check out Safe Space. If you guys get Safe Space.
I knew he had multiple socials. I mean,
yeah, I think it's Safe Space. But go check it out. It's a place to go if you guys ever are feeling like you need someone to talk to. Everyone in there is willing to help. So definitely go check it out. Contributing to everything else that he does for social media-wise. But yeah, guys, go check us out at the CodeXStation.com. One-stop shop for everything. Code X merch. Be team. Let us know what you like, don't like. And you can find us on
All the socials?
Thank you.
Because we have every damn one of them. We're practically dripping with them. So if you want all the socials, we got them for you. And we don't have any other desire than to give them to you. That's what we want more than anything else, is to give you every one we got.
X gonna give it to you.
We are.
Nice. All right, guys. What do you say we kick off this show, get the ball rolling? I've got a nice intro set up here, but we'll see you guys in about 45 seconds.
Ooh, that cover art looks very familiar to me.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Codex Station. This is Comic Character Week. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, South Slab Guy. Down below is Danny Man Kelly. Of course, over there is the Ric Flair Comics.
Woo!
And over there is our master builder, J-Dub. So, we are covering Mystique tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. It's right there. Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off and give us the intro on her?
All right. So first off, hello Bougie, hello Mr. Keith, everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining us tonight. Her first appearance was way back in Miss Marvel issue 16 in April of 1978. Who was around for that? Not me.
Jesus.
Created by Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum. Actually, funny, she was just a sketch that Dave Cockrum had drawn, just kind of like, oh, here's this, and then Chris Claremont saw it and was like, that's really good. Who is that? And he's like, yeah, just something I kind of came up with. He's like, all right, we're going to use her in the comic. As far as her origin, it's never really been revealed. She's been hinted that she's at least 100 years old. It's been hinted that she's had all these different identities throughout the years, one of them possibly even being Sherlock Holmes. She's lived as men. She's lived as women. So there's not really a whole lot known about the origins of her. So, maybe we'll get that one day. As far as her powers, she's a shape changer, but it's really more than that because she can change her body like on a molecular level. It used to be that she could only, change, about the same size she was, but she's got powered up over the years where now she can change her body mass to be larger or smaller if she wants. When she changes, shape changes, she also imitates clothing, zippers, stuff like that. And because of the healing or because of the shape changing, she has accelerated healing. And that's also what gives her this slow aging that possibly makes her, we've never told her origin, so we don't know how old she really is or how old she could possibly become. But because her power is manipulating her body and all these cells and stuff, she pretty much, could potentially be immortal.
Very true. That's amazing. I never knew they didn't really flesh out an origin. Hey, he was only one. That's funny. I didn't realize that she didn't really have a straight up origin, type situation.
Yeah. I don't know that I want one. I don't know that I want one.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Kind of like the Joker. I like her. Mm-hmm. I think I want her origin shrouded in mystery.
Yeah, I would like that. Yep. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our first segment with what works best. And I'll kick it off this time. And I'll tell you what I like. What works best with her. I like her when she is the master manipulator. She manipulates all the pieces on the board to get what she wants. And when she needs to be, she's cold as ice to get it. You know, I just even though she's playing like a good guy sometimes, but that's really a facade, or that's really what she's going along with to get what she wants. Okay, and it's not anything for the greater good. At least in the beginning, it wasn't. I always felt she was always behind the scenes saying, "Okay, I'll go along for now, but I'm gonna just because it works for me in this situation till I get what I want," and that's what works really best for me. J Dub, how about you?
Almost like you said, I just like the fact that you never know. I like the secret part of her. Like you just never know what's next. You don't know what side she's playing for, who
Mm-hmm.
she'd be working for, who she's not working for, even if she's in for herself. And that she like you just can't tell. There's no definitive answer. Just like an origin, there's nothing there.
Very true. Very true. All right, Uncle Gary, how about you?
I like it when she's a duplicitous snake, and she will, she will stab you in the back. She'll stab you in the front. She will, she'll just make a stab at you. I think that's what's great about the character. Her motivations are her own.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you can predict is there are some people that she is very fond of, and that she will go to great lengths to protect them. But that is about the only thing that is predictable about Raven. Yeah.
Yep.
If that's her.
If that's her real name. Very true.
That's her name.
Yep. Well, Raven Darkholme. That's that came about, I think, in the either the X-Men series or the classic X-Men series where they
I think so too. Now, I do not have that first issue she appeared in, Miss Marvel 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do have 18. And when she was in 16, I'm not even sure, was she shadowy? Was she disguised as somebody? And then in 18 is when she appeared as Mystique.
Yeah.
But what was she in 16?
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. So I know it was just a cameo.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dan, how about you? What works best for you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to echo what you guys said. When she's someone that you can't trust and you never know what she's going to do. She's always out for whatever her, I don't want to say mission. That's not the right word, but whatever it is she's going for, she could double cross you at any time. Even when you think she's on your side, she could double cross you and then double cross the person that she went against. And you just, from the blink of an eye, you never know what you're going to get from her. And like Gary said, she has shown a deep caring for Destiny and for Rogue, on and off for Nightcrawler, but that's kind of it. She's shown that she's had relationships in the past with with Iceman, with Forge, with Destiny, with Wolverine, and who knows who else, going back for however old she could be. And it's something that you could always a writer could always tell a story like, oh yeah, so and so you had a relationship with, yeah, that was really me. You just never know.
Yeah. You got to admit, being with a shapeshifter would be pretty hot.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true.
Yeah.
I think from one of my earliest recollections of her, she was posing as a human with some baron because he was rich, he was wealthy, he was powerful, yes. And that's when she had Nightcrawler. This is original now. This might have been retconned out of the situation. The spy and espionage qualities make her distinctive for a shape-shifting character as opposed to just one-note silent assassin type. Very true, Mr. Keith. Very good point. Very good point. Anyhow, that's one of my first recalls of her of how she was with that, with the living different lives type situation. So, anyhow. All right, let's go ahead and jump to our next segment, which is Badass Moments. And Jamie, do you want to start us off with your Badass Moments?
Sorry, I was mid-sip.
That's all right. I waited till you started drinking to do it.
I know. I noticed. You're like,
very well done. That was very well done, Sal.
Yes. Timing perfect. So for the first one, I do have two of them are fights. So we'll go with the first one. Was her taking down Forge and X Factor. It was X Factor 140 through 141, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I got her fight with Wolverine from Wolverine 63 to 65. And for this one, it was just like the evasiveness of everything. Like he couldn't like just outsmart her in the like, just within those 3 issues, and it was just cool to see. And then I also have her faking her own death in Manifest Destiny. It's a 5-issue. Like the character already has a mischievous side. Now we're just faking our own death.
That's how she works. That's
A
how
lot
she works.
easier to hide when you're dead.
Yeah. That's so true. Very cool. Very cool. All right, Gary, how about you? What's your badass moments?
All right, so mine aren't any specific fight. These are just kind of generalizations. Is, you know, one of her powers, she can move her vital organs out of the way.
Oh yeah.
To escape injury. So she stabbed through the heart. Well, sure, but her heart wasn't there. I mean, you know, get me in the pierce my liver. Now liver was moved.
Now you see me, now you don't.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of a badass power to be able to arrange yourself, you know, on a molecular level like that to avoid serious injury. That's pretty cool. So. You know, I guess everything else is just a tissue injury, right? If that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But a flesh wound.
Yep, and be a flesh wound. That's right. As far as her, you know, this other badass moment is it was malicious as hell. So she never really thought Gambit was worthy of Rogue. Never thought Gambit was worthy of Rogue. So she posed as this student that Gambit was training to try to seduce him, and when he wasn't going to bite, she revealed herself, who she was, and then to tempt him further, she took on Rogue shape and said, "You know, you can't touch her, but here she is, and you can touch this, and it won't be cheating because it's Rogue." That is badass and wrong, so freaking wrong. But oh my God, how cruel is that, right? This is before Gambit and Rogue could touch, but Gambit, in love with her, can't touch her. It's killing her. And here she's shape-shifting, and it's Rogue's adoptive mother. Here she's shape-shifting into Rogue saying, "Here it is right here. What you've been wanting. Come get it, big boy." That is badass and wrong on so many damn levels.
It's like, what's the saying? Oh, I'm going to make a name for myself right here.
Yeah, exactly. And then the number one badass moment, she's Nightcrawler's daddy.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a pretty, you know.
I wanted to use that one. I know if that would be truly badass for me.
I think it's badass. I mean, here's this character, this female character is really the daddy, the father, not modern day daddy, but the father, the dad of Nightcrawler. And I think it's brilliant because if she can shapeshift like that, of course she could make an exact copy of Azazel, and impregnate Destiny. So and that's exactly what she did. And it was brilliant. And I thought it was a recent plot point that they had done, and they had created this, and I thought that is brilliant. But in researching the character, Claremont claims that in 2006, this was his idea, but Marvel would not go along with, you know, revealing that because they were not in a place where they could, I guess, endorse through their books same-sex relationships, even though she was a male, you know, to do that. So it's kind of a weird place, but if Claremont thought that up in 2006, or if he thought it up in 2016, I think it's brilliant. I think it is absolutely brilliant. And I know there's some people like, "Oh, that's ridiculous," but it's not ridiculous. If she's a shapeshifter and can do it down to a molecular, you know, a level like that, every molecule, then why couldn't she, you know?
She's reshaping her DNA. So, yeah, I mean,
reshaping their DNA into male DNA. Why wouldn't she be able to do everything that male that she is replicating can do? So I just think it's brilliant. I love it. And I think it's badass that she's Nightcrawler's daddy.
Very cool. Very cool.
We're going to play a little game. Who's your daddy, and what does he do?
All right, Dan, what you got for badass moments?
I got X Factor 130 / X-Men Forever #2. Graydon Creed is her son. It's a son from her and Sabretooth, but he wasn't born a mutant. So she, being the caring and loving parent that she was, when he became an adolescent, she realized that he wasn't going to be a mutant. She just dumped him off. So he grows up to be, this big anti-mutant guy. And when he is at this rally, he is shot and killed. And that happens in X Factor 130. And she was going to, but then they stopped her from doing it. So it was a mystery assailant. And then later on in X-Men Forever #2, it was a 5-issue miniseries. It was revealed that it was a time-traveling Mystique that was the one that actually went back and shot him. So, anybody, I mean, it's rough that she took out her own son, but, anybody that's just that hate-filled like that, I'm good with that. The next one I got is from an earlier one. It's also from X Factor 69, where the Shadow King was manipulating a bunch of people, had the X-Men, had control over them, and was getting ready to kill Professor X, and thought that he had control over, I think it was Val Cooper, and then Mystique shapeshifts from Val into herself, be like, oh yeah, it's not really her, kills the Shadow King's human host, so that he's, has no place left on the physical plane here, thereby saving Professor X's life. And then the last one I got, it's not really a fight or anything. It's just kind of a, shows her, I guess if you want to call it forward thinking, kind of manipulative side, how she's, will always find a way to save herself. It's from Uncanny X-Men 199. When she goes to see Val Cooper and she's like, look, the writing is on the wall. They're coming after mutants. We're not.
Yeah.
When it gets a lap dance, the lights go out.
That's right, baby.
So, she goes to Val Cooper and is like, look, to save us, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, we're going to come and we're going to be government agents for you. And they work out the deal where they're going to become government agents. They're going to become Freedom Force, which essentially is Marvel's version of Suicide Squad. And then the deal is, all right, they'll be the government agents. They'll run missions for them, and they'll get full pardons as long as none of them commit any crimes. Then they're fine. And they were Freedom Force working for the government for a long time. So, I thought that was pretty badass for her to recognize, all right, this is the state of the world. It's going to be easier for me and my agenda to do this than it is, to work with the system than it is going to be to fighting against it.
I agree. That's some good stuff there.
And I guess that Freedom Force, that was before Suicide Squad, wasn't it? Where they started using criminals.
I'd have to check on that.
I wonder what predates, because it's around the same time frame.
I'll have to check on that.
Yeah. It's very close, but I think it might be before.
Yeah, because Dan is right. That is a, I wonder if that was a precursor to Suicide Squad, or if
maybe.
I mean, Task Force X, the original Suicide Squad, was much earlier. But when they started using the criminals, the original Task Force X was Rick Flag and his operatives.
Right.
Wasn't what Ostrander created with the Suicide Squad, which I think came out of the Legends series?
Yeah, so Suicide Squad #1 was 1987. X-Men 199 was 1985.
Yep. See, Freedom. Yep. So that idea might have germinated from there. So
maybe
absolutely.
So. All right. So good segue, because for one of my badass moments, mine were more general, kind of like Gary's. But I have her role as a Freedom Force, a government-led program. She was actually officially the first mutant to be hired or working for the government, at the time. And a lot of my, my stories, I was trying to find a good recommended reading of a Freedom Force reading, and I picked one out. But her leading Freedom Force is just very badass, and it was badass in X Factor. It was badass in Uncanny. Wherever she landed up with this crew, it was just a really awesome storyline, and it worked really well for her. And so yeah, it just falls in line with my Master Manipulator, and I think it was an X Factor where she knew that X Factor, the original X Factor, was the original X-Men, and she was kind of calling them out on it, and Scott was talking to Rusty, and he's like, well, she's supposedly reformed and working for the government, and Scott was like, no, see, they don't tigers don't change their stripes, that type of thing. It's like, we know who she is. She may know us, but we know who she really is, that type of situation. So she may be playing the good guy, but it's she really wasn't.
She was the ultimate survivor.
Yeah, ultimate survivor. Very, very true.
Right. She's whatever she needs to do, that's what she'll do. Whatever side she has to play.
Yep. So another one of my badass moments, she was training Rogue to be evil in the beginning when she was being the mother, the type of mother, but she was actually training her to be part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And she even tried to get, like Gary said, was trying to get Gambit away from her by shifting into a form. First, she shifted into a form to be a student there, and she was playing along with it to get there and drive the wedge between Rogue and Gambit. That's just pretty badass on its own. I also had the fight with Forge that Jamie had. That was a good one. So won't go into too details on that one. And I also had Wolverine's ends up with her back in a seedy motel, and then when he finds out it's Mystique, he's just like, okay,
What the hell?
Well, whatever. That's fine.
It's not like you hadn't done her before. Yeah,
I know.
It's just not in that form.
Yeah. All right. So for our next segment is critiques and criticisms and stuff that we do not like about her. And Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off on that one?
There's not really anything I don't like about her in the comic, because the way her character is, being manipulative and deceptive, it's pretty hard to miswrite her, because if you have one writer write it one way, you could have someone come back on the next storyline and be like, oh, this is what was really going on. What I really don't like is kind of what they did to her in the movies, because in the first, when it was Rebecca Romaine, of course, she's, there's no clothes on, it's just body paint and the scales, but the look of it was stupid with the little scales and stuff and the slick back hair. And in the first couple movies, it's just a shape changer. She's not really Mystique. She doesn't have any of the characteristics, personality-wise, of the character Mystique. She's just, she only has a couple lines of dialogue. And then when they had like the went back in time for the First Class stuff, and they had Jennifer Lawrence take over, she got much more developed as a character, but it still didn't really feel like Mystique to me. In Days of Future Past, that's the closest I feel like they got to an accurate representation of her on screen, with her, manipulating people and infiltrating the government and all that. But it's still not, super close to it. With the way that the movies are, where the people that don't read comics and they see the characters and that's in their minds, like, this is who the character is. And so it's almost like if you change it to make them more accurate going forward in shows or other movies, people, could not want that, and it could prevent that from happening. So that's kind of what my issue is of that. And, not getting to see, like, she's got a really cool look, the blue skin with the white dress and the skull belt. Like, that's a cool look, and disappointing that we never got to see something close to that on the screen.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, Gary, what don't you like about it?
Well, to Dan's point about how they treated her on screen, I think if you have a treatment of her on the screen as she is in the comics, I think they were probably afraid of making her too unlikable. So I mean, I think they made her, with Jennifer Lawrence especially, they made the character more likable. If having the cutthroat, vicious Rogue there, I think they didn't want to alienate people on that, I guess, because they didn't want Rogue to be just a straight up total villain with no with no rooting interest in her. I think with Jennifer Lawrence, I think Jennifer Lawrence in the movies, they played her as having much more good in her than this one has. She's a nasty piece of business, and I really don't have any regrets on how they write her. And Dan's point was excellent about you can't screw her up, because if you contradict something that the person before you wrote, that's how the character is. The character is contradictory. So
that's true.
You don't have to worry about retconning that character, because she retcons herself, because again, she's that cockroach that'll always survive, always scurry away and live to play another game, whether it's moving her organs out of the way, or faking her own death. So yeah, and Pam, I like the portrayal of Lawrence in the movies. I just think it was done to make the character more. Well, there you go. So while we're talking about cockroaches, I had a little thing hit on my iPad. It says CNN says giant flying cockroaches did something, and I'm like, well, there you go, Mystique. So, it was meant to be.
That's right.
It was meant to be. So not really any criticism with the character.
All right, very good. Jamie, what don't you like about her?
All right, I don't know if I should say it because it's kind of a hot take. I don't want you guys mad at me and hanging me from whatever you guys can find. I hated her in the Brotherhood. Hated her.
The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Because of the fact that they, no matter what media it was, comics, shows, movie, whatever you want to say, it always,
That wasn't the pizza lady. That was Mystique, Booze. Be careful.
What do you call it? They always made her they downplayed her, no matter the whole team. It felt like, and it always trying to find the right words for it. I've been thinking about it the entire time we've been talking about this. Is more submissive, if that makes sense. All right, won't do that again, or this character that just that isn't her. It felt like a watered down, I'll do whatever you say, just as long as we get through, character. But when she's on her own, it is night and day.
Okay.
Yeah. She works better as an individual for the espionage stuff too, I think.
Yeah. It's just too many evil mutants in that Brotherhood just overshadowed, or they tried to overshadow her.
Okay. That's nothing wrong with that take. That's nothing wrong.
I feel like everyone would be like, "Oh my God, you're an idiot! Don't take it out like that."
It's your opinion, man.
Comments. Go ahead, put them in the comments.
Yeah,
I liked her better leading Freedom Force than I did with the Brotherhood. So
it sucks when they do that to characters.
I actually enjoyed her too when she was part of the council on the recent X-Men stuff, where they didn't want her. They didn't want Destiny resurrected.
Right, right.
And her and Destiny are together, on the council. And I think Emma had a lot of manipulations there too going on. And between her and Emma Frost manipulating people, that council was messed up. So I enjoyed that.
Quick side note: I didn't know Tony married Emma. By the way,
yeah.
Spoiler. That threw me off. I was reading of the newer Avengers, and it was like, "Hey, how's it going with Emma?" And he's like, "This is a subject I do not need to talk about right now."
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, they did it for strategic reasons.
Yeah.
Right. It was just after the mutant attack at the gala.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was done strategically. I also liked through the fact that when Destiny wasn't going to get resurrected, that Irene told her to burn it all down. If they don't do that, burn it all down. And Mystique was going to burn it all down. So I thought that was pretty rough.
But then she went behind the scenes and resurrected her anyhow.
Yes, she did. Absolutely, she did. That's right. And they did not want that to happen, because they did everything in their power to stop that, because they're scared. They were scared to death of Destiny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. For me and my stuff that I don't like about her is pretty much echoing what you guys said. I like her when she's on her own or she's with Freedom Force. Brother Evil Mutants. That's not that I didn't hate her or something like that, but I could see Jamie's point of how she was downplayed a lot. So I have to agree with that.
Yeah.
And you guys are right. There's even if they write her bad, they could just play it off and just say, oh, she was just playing some evil scheme that didn't work out or something like that. So it's
way
pretty
back
much
20 years ago.
yeah. It'd be pretty hard to mess up writing her. I did not like her in any of the movies, any of the new X-Men movies. I didn't really care for the character too much to what Dan said. I just couldn't. She was the master manipulator that I thought her to be, and she was almost a good guy, type situation. And I'm like, I don't need her to be a good guy. I need her to be the person behind the scenes that'll backstab you in a heartbeat if she felt like it could gain her 10 steps. Oh, hey, thanks, Chris.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
How do we block people in our chat?
I don't know.
Oh man, Chris is good for it.
Chris always brings us to another level. Not sure which way it is, but he always brings us to another level.
Burn it down. Yeah,
Burn
Dan
it down.
can start.
Mm-hmm. All right, so moving on to our next segment here is going to be. I'm sorry, I didn't ask this in the beginning, but can we give a shout out to Comic Logic now, because that was our segment. That's my segment hole in the thing. So, Gary, tell us about Comic Logic.
Never heard of them. What are they? Comic Logic. Well, I have a hat right here. Comic Logic, Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Please come by and see us. We would love to make your acquaintance. Everybody you see on this screen has been in Comic Logic, so it is a wonderful place to come, get your new books, talk with folks, meet them. You can see. Come on Wednesdays. You can catch me, Mighty Mike Harbor. You can catch Rob Kalin. And we would love to make your acquaintance, talk comics with you. So please, if you're in the Northern Virginia area, come in and see us. We don't have any big events on the horizon, but, keep posted. After the holidays, next year will be our 10th anniversary. So we got to do something for that. So anyway, Comic Logic, Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Come in and see us. And Chris, who was busy pooping a little bit ago, he's even been in the store. But we have to limit our Chris visits, Little Chris goes a long way.
Goes a long way. Yes, indeed.
It really does.
I have to correct you there. You do have big events coming up. Every Wednesday on New Comic Day, when you get to go in the shop and see Uncle Gary, that is a big event.
Well, that's I was underplaying that, but thank you. We'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and let him.
Dan's right about that one. I can tell you that right now.
I'm not putting that up, Chris.
Yeah, that's the
I don't even want to know. All right, so let's move on to our next segment. I'm sorry, what?
I do want to throw out for Archduke Heavy. Guys, if you guys get a chance to, on Facebook, obviously, he runs Comic Hair Day. Comic Hair Day was inspired to do this show, and we're all together because of it. He made a new page called Safe Space. And I just want to read you guys real fast what it's about, so that way you guys go check it out. Like I said, he's doing his best here, and he's doing a great thing here. He goes, "Hi, everyone. I know life is difficult. Hell, that's an understatement. Life can very well be the embodiment of pain and suffering. I wanted to create a positive, peer-created group for people who need to vent and seek other perspectives without judgment. A group of support and love. No negativity here unless it's something that needs some unpacking. Let's help each other stay strong throughout our adversities." Like I said, there's a lot of people in there already. There's a lot of love, and there's no toxicity whatsoever. So if you guys get a chance, check them out. Again, it's Safe Space on Facebook.
Good for Kevy for starting that. I know that 2024 for a lot of folks and a lot of folks here on this station has been a shit year. And I know those two fellas sitting there to the right, Sal and Dan, have lost family members. Mike lost a family member to a murder. People in the chat, a good friend there has had, it's been a tough year for a lot of folks up here. So I know that a lot of people want to turn the page on 2024, and if that helps support people to get us through the end of this year, let's do that, and let's start 2025. I know 2016 was a year like that for me when I lost my mom, and I couldn't wait for that goddamn year to end. So for you, my brothers on this station, and the people watching that have had a really tough year. I'm with you. Let's end 2024 and let's turn the page and start 2025 and start fresh. But if you need a place to go, need a place to talk, Archduke Kevy is a man of a lot of compassion and heart, and he felt moved to, start that place to go to, for people to support one another, and I think that's an admirable thing that he has done. So,
totally agree, 100%. Thank you very much, Archduke. You're a great guy. All right. Moving on to our next segment is top covers. And Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with your top covers so I can pull them up right here.
All right. Two of these covers I actually own. The third one I don't own because it has not been released yet.
Oh.
So on the far left, it's issue 1 of Mystique's first solo series, which was excellent. Ran for 24 issues. You'll hear more about that later, I'm sure. So all the covers for this run were beautiful. Some of them were done by Lisner, some of them were done by Mayhew. Wanting to pick one, I just decided to go straight off with the that's awesome. That's awesome, Mr. Keith. I've seen you post that.
Oh, yes. Very good.
There you go. See, I told you comic books make you strong, baby. Look at that.
Yeah.
Bench press a Buick, baby.
Congrats, brother.
Good job. Good job.
But with this one, she looks badass. She's got the gun. She's got that cold look in her eyes, but
she has guns on that cover.
She looks a little sexy too, So I think that's but that's I think the essence of the character too is sexy and deadly too.
You mean Linzer draws sexy women? What?
I feel like all those skulls in the background are due to her thighs.
Yeah. Hey. That cover I used on Comic Character of the Day. So good job. Good choice.
So the middle one is X Factor 108. Again, it's just that, it's her there. She's got that kind of sultry look to her, but she's also holding the big gun, and then all the skulls background there. Like, it's just, and she's got the skull belt too. So, that's just who how the character is. And I love the art style that's on it. And then the one.
What artist is that? Who did the center one?
I think it was Steve Epting.
You know what that looks like, Epting? Yeah.
And then the one all the way on the right, like I said, hasn't come out yet. That's actually coming out next month. That's the cover to issue 3 of her current series, which is only at the first 2 issues coming on. But when I was looking for covers, I saw this and I realized, unless I missed one, this is the only cover I could find where it would actually showed her shape-shifting from herself to another character on the cover. And I thought it was awesome. The way that it has, the way that the artwork is shifting between her and White Queen, I thought just looked super cool.
There was an Inferno cover where she was shape-shifting between her and Destiny.
Yep.
Okay.
And there's another cover with her shape-shifting with Wolverine as well.
Yeah, but that is really cool with her and Emma on the chair in luxury like that. I love it. I love the attitude in that.
Yep.
I like the effect that it, where it's, it's like the line going through between dividing her half and Emma's half, where it shows the actual shape-shifting effect. Because usually in the comics, they showed it in the movies, but they don't really show that in the comic. In the comic, it's her one panel, and then the next panel, it's someone else.
Well, let's not forget the fact that there is a body on that cover too.
Yeah.
There's an arm.
Yeah. There's a dead body there. Yep. Looks like there's a dead body.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Gary, got yours queued up. Ready?
All right. Let's do it. All right. Well, the first one on the left is the aforementioned Joseph Michael Linzer. That's Mystique number 3. That's a volume 1. And I just love that cover. Getting a little skeleton love there. So I like the bones have the bones are tattoos on the bones or engravings. Linzer's so good, so great. I love one eye squinted, the other eye's wide open. So I love the evocative image of that cover, and she's not concerned in the least.
Yeah,
it's like a nice embrace. Inferno #1 in the center, that's the C cover, and that is Art Germ. And she's shifting a little bit on that cover too.
Yeah.
So she's got a little shift going there. But God, that's just sexy as hell. That'll, you're going to be excited, turned on, and terrified all at the same time. So that's a whole lot of emotions going on if that's sitting in your chair there.
How I feel every episode.
Yep, there you go. Exactly. And then the one on the right is Uncanny X-Men #2. That's the A cover of Volume 4, and I think that's my buddy Greg Land doing that.
Yes, it is.
Yep. So that's the cover you had on the intro, and I just think there she is, looking hot, the big gun sitting on a pile of bodies that she has racked up there. So
dispatched.
She is dispatched. There's a good word for it. She has dispatched a whole lot of folks there. So love it. Hair blowing in the wind, and she's posing, looking good.
Yep. If you look closely on that tattoo on the first cover, I think that first one says Xavier was here.
Yeah, Xavier was here. There you go.
All right, Jamie, ready to show off your covers?
Always.
All right, here you go.
Yeah, so I got what Dan had with me, Dan. Mystique #1.
Mm-hmm.
I left. The middle one, I don't know
That's
what's
awesome.
to love about that cover.
Love the perspective. Yep.
Yeah, you got Wolverine half frozen trying to crawl away. You got the Statue of Liberty frozen in the background, and she's just standing tall. And plus I like Astonishing X-Men, so that series never did me wrong.
And is that Nice Spear? It looks like too.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It could be. And lastly, I have, which you're gonna you'll see later, is X-Men Unlimited #4. And for I don't know why, but she's just drawn so slender and seductive and badass all in one.
Those are serious heels she's got on that.
Yeah, they continue to. Everything's a weapon with her. She takes a sharp turn, you're down.
There you go.
Awesome covers. I do like that middle one too, and that one was on my short list, but it didn't make the final cut. But it is a great cover.
It is. There's not much to it too. It's simple. The colors are just the colors are flat. But it looks so good.
Very muted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's my covers, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
I, of course, went with Rogue Gambit Volume 2, the 1E version, which, of course, is Alex Ross. This is the look that I wanted to see her in the movies. 100%, but alas, that was not to be. The middle one, of course, is the Inferno, which Gary was just referring to earlier.
That's a great cover. That's a great cover. I almost used that. Good for you.
And if I remember right, I think that's Destiny's Grave that she's looking at.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember the story right in that one. So, and this one was done by Jerome Opeña. And the last over there is Astonishing X-Men. #4, of course, Astonishing X-Men, also great series. This is #4. The cover artist was Carlos Paccio.
Oh, so
it's like
good.
Game of Thrones meets X-Men.
Yeah, yes. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I thought that first. Yep, I thought that at first when I saw this. It's the way she's sitting on the throne, this is mine. That type of thing. That's awesome. All right.
If I fits, I sits.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Love it.
And I missed that Inferno cover. I'd given up on X-Men by that point. With the
that Inferno cover was the fourth or fifth cover. I had that one, and then the one I used for cover of the day, that first issue one. They were the ones that were left out. But I'm glad you used the Inferno, and I'm glad Dan used the issue 1, and Jamie did too. I think that was the only repeat, was the issue 1.
Yeah, it stuck out. So
they did
awesome.
stick. Yeah,
it did stick out.
They had a point,
and puffy point too. They're puffy.
Yeah. It was great. Well, real fast, I do want to throw this out there for everybody that's in chat. The 4th annual Codex Awards, I want to break that down real fast, is going to be January 4th. It is going to be on a Saturday, so we're not going to have a Comics Unleashed, but it will be that night.
4 on 4, 4th on 4.
Mm-hmm.
We can do the 4th annual on the 4th.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
So just throwing it out there. Get ready to see our picks for best writer, artist, series, miniseries, what we read this year. And gonna say it'd probably be our last year of the Legacy Award because we're gonna be changing up the format for the following year. So get ready for that.
Okay.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see what
Very
we pick. Everyone's been talking about so much, so like it's crazy. Oh, and cover of the year too.
Yep.
Like,
here.
You know how hard that's been for me since last year with that new category? Every time I get a cover, I swap it out. And I'm like, oh, wait, 3 months later, change that one out.
Yeah, I got like 3 or 4 to whittle down.
Yeah.
I keep changing out my Venom covers. It's like, oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, well,
Just wait, all new Venom.
That's right. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to our next segment, which is essential readings for this character. And Gary, why don't you go first for essential readings?
All right, let's see. The Wolverine Get Mystique miniseries is from issues of Wolverine's magazine, where he is hunting her down and he is having a devil of a time. We talked about it a little earlier. You know, she really pisses him off. So you know, again, it's that cockroach that he just can't kill.
Yeah.
CNN alerted him again.
Yep. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Absolutely. Also Mystique, and that, you know, that the Get Mystique was, that was written by Jason Aaron. So you get the Jason Aaron stuff, and Ron Garney did the art on that series. Mystique 1 through 13. The series went, how many issues did it go, Dan? 28?
24.
24. So I could have put the whole thing in there, but I tried to cut it down a little bit. So I did Brian K. Vaughan's issues on it, where he wrote it, and Jorge Lucas was the artist, and Michael Ryan came on and did the last half of that. But that's just great character study of Mystique and her first volume of an ongoing series. And then the other was just an old favorite, Avengers Annual 10 by Chris Claremont, Michael Golden, where you're introducing Rogue and you're seeing the relationship with Mystique and her trying to mold Rogue into who she wants her to be, and you get that dynamic. So I think that issue just had so much background in it that I think to understand Rogue and Mystique's relationship, that's a good starting point. And if you are not a fan of rape, then you'll really like that issue too, because Chris Claremont gets to take Marvel to task about the rapey issue that Avengers 200 was, when they let Miss Marvel, when the Avengers let Miss Marvel get raped by Marcus, who was Immortus, so time traveling himself. So it was a disgrace that Marvel put that book out, and Chris Claremont put the hammer down and had the way he had Miss Marvel with the X-Men back and her criticizing the Avengers for how they let it happen to her, which you never, ever see in comics. Mm-hmm. So that was fantastic. But Avengers Annual 10 is just a great book all the way around, and great fight scenes in that thing too.
Yeah.
So and to see Rogue draining everybody's power and then having problems draining Thor, draining Wonder Man, couldn't drain the Vision, so it gave her roadblocks that she couldn't. Yeah, that's right. Until it fell apart. Great stuff.
Pam.
Pam, you're right. That was a great book. So, but Avengers Annual 10, everybody needs to have it. It's an expensive book, but fortunately, it's been collected many times, and it's been a facsimile edition. So there are affordable copies out there. Get a copy and read it. And Michael Golden is an interesting artist, and his work in that was pretty cool. So there you go.
200 was great as well. Yes, indeed. So yeah, Gary, I chose this one because I figured you would like the figure here. With
I did. Big guns and sexy pose.
That's right. All right, Jamie, you ready to give us your readings?
Yeah.
All right. Here you go.
Well, real fast, I'll get the one out of the way. Mystique from the 2003 series. There's going to be more than enough said or has been said about that already. But I went with X-Men.
You did, Chris. Yeah.
Number 4. This was like an anthology series, so everyone got like their own chance to shine, and that one did it for her, I feel, with giving her that spotlight of showing the real side of Mystique. And and then I had Messiah Complex. And correct me if I'm wrong, it had like every X-Men team imaginable in it, right?
Yeah.
Looking like Marauders and oh god, I'm blanking right now. Give me 1 second. But she was a part of it. It was, to me, one worth reading along with the rest of these. Like every one of these I picked because of the fact that it just showed off a different like trait. I want to say more than anything of Mystique's abilities. And the fact that she could be like the biggest threat in their universe. You know, you don't know what side she's going to be a part of. You don't know who she's working with. You don't know if she's going to stab you in the back, the front, the side, or the earlobe. Like, you just don't know. So with all these, I feel like it gives you a better version of her each time.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Good stories. Good stories. What's that?
We've had comments about Mystique in a Daredevil book. It would be interesting if Matt Murdock's senses could detect that a person she was pretending to be was not that person. Kind of like Wolverine can detect her, you know, with his senses and all. So that would be an interesting concept, whether Matt Murdock's senses were enough to be able to tell him that something was off and that wasn't the person, you know, that they were pretending to be.
I was thinking the same thing when I saw that comment. Would he be able to tell the difference?
Yeah, like can you hear it in like the tone of the voice or like the smell,
or even the heartbeat?
Yeah,
you know. So I think that's a pretty cool, comment, Booge. I think that's interesting to see. I mean, to see her pretend to be Elektra would be pretty cool. And you know, the other thing too is you would think Daredevil might be able to know, like with Electro, that the fighting movements aren't quite the same because she's not Taskmaster.
Yeah, she can't manipulate them.
Yeah, she doesn't have the photographic reflexes. So the fighting styles would be a little off. So I think that's quite interesting. That would be the key. Yep. Great concept.
Yep. All right, Dan.
I was going to say it would be interesting too because you know they've shown with her powers, it's not just changing her shape since she changes on a molecular level that she can change her voice, fingerprints, you know, the retinal scans, all that. Like, so is that something where she can change, you know, her smell, where she can change her heartbeat to mimic someone else's too? Like how far down the rabbit hole would the writer want to go with that?
Agreed.
Very true. All right, Dan, here comes your readings. Oh, hold on.
Just the implants, huh?
Uh-oh. Yeah, Sonny, and it's all intact.
It's intact.
It's intact.
It's the word of the day.
All right, Dan, here you go. Here's your readings.
All right, so Mystique Volume 1, we've all had it, and some, talked about it a lot. It's I put the whole volume on there because it only ran 24 issues, but it's a great it's a great representation of her character because in the series she is working as a basically like a double agent for Professor X. And he makes her the deal that, look, I'll keep you safe from the government and everyone that's after you. You just go run these spy missions and stuff for me because the person he had doing it before was killed. And then, in this 24 issues, it's a lot of espionage, a lot of backstabbing, double crossing, and schemes and manipulation going on. And it's a super fun read. X Factor Annual 6 on there. It's not the full issue. It's a backup story that's in it. It's only about 10 pages long, but I thought that was a really good story. That it's after Destiny has died and she's fulfilling Destiny's, or quote unquote her final wish of something that she wanted Mystique to do. And it shows, so some of their relationship through the years, and the way it ends is, it's pretty poignant. It's pretty good, and like Ari said earlier, they recently did the thing which in X-Men Blue Origins where it's revealed that it was always known that she was Nightcrawler's parent, but it was thought that she was the mother and Azazel was the father, and it's revealed no, Destiny's the mother, and Mystique shape changed to a man to father him. Because originally, I was thinking about putting that one on there, the Unlimited 4, because that was the one that first introduced the idea of Mystique, or didn't introduce, they teased it before, but that was the one that revealed Mystique was Nightcrawler's parent. Mm-hmm. But I put X-Men Blue Origins on there because it's the one that expanded on it and gave us what is now canon. But it's because Claremont had wanted to do this years before, and Marvel wouldn't let him. And if you read all of these interactions that Mystique and Destiny had through the years in the even back in the 80s, it's very clear that the way they were written, that they were in a relationship together. But because of the times and the comic code and all that, Marvel couldn't have a same-sex relationship between them. So it's never outright shown that they're in a relationship. But, knowing that they are, you go back and see, oh, well, they're living together and, they have this and that, and, and it's very clear. And that's why I put the annual 6 on there, because I thought, it was a good representation of their relationship and did show that, there is someone that Mystique actually cares about.
Yeah, good stuff. Good readings.
Absolutely.
There. All right, we can jump on to my readings here.
Oh, Brubaker would be fantastic with her.
Yeah, indeed.
If you Brubaker, I don't know if you've read Velvet. Oh my gosh, that's a great spy series with a female protagonist by Brubaker and Epting.
Pizza's distracting him.
That happens to me all the time.
All right, so for my readings, of course, Mystique, Volume 1, I called out issues 20 through 24. This is right after Destiny was killed, and she's going through a lot of emotions and turmoil with this. She's on the inner circle, like Gary had said earlier, but she's still an outsider, given her, how she's her agendas and her reputation for betrayal and all this other good stuff. So we got, in these 4 issues, you see a lot of themes of loss, identity, betrayal, or they're prominent throughout this whole thing. And what I drew from that is her shape-shifting abilities metaphor all her struggles, with self-definition. I felt like I drew a comparison between the two, and it touches on her emotional turmoil and her willingness to sacrifice for the people that she loves, while still holding her own, grudges on, for other people type situation. So I really like those particular issues. But yes, Volume 1 through 1 through 24 is a must read for me. Sabretooth and Mystique 1 through 4. This one came out in 2022, and it's focusing on these two characters. This is the part of the story where Sabretooth was a prisoner on the Kuroka pit. This is where they kept the bad mutants, in check or in prison or whatever you want to call it. But she breaks him out, forms an alliance with Sabretooth because they have a history together of joining forces and doing stuff. So she's, manipulating him to get what she wants, and also, to get him out of there as well, because that's what he wants. But, of course, the two characters both have their own agendas, and they both, show how they're based on their lives are based on their past histories together, and of course with their relationship with Kuroka, and of course their personal goals. It's a good story, has a lot of action in it, a lot of power struggles. It's something you should probably pick up and read. I would recommend this one. Now my last one here. This was a tough one because I was trying to find a good story arc that had Freedom Force in it, and the one I came up with was X Factor Volume 1, 8 through 11. She's with Freedom Force, and during this time frame, this is when the Mutant Registration Act was coming out, and mutants are being forced to register as their code names, but not really their personal names. And of course, X Factor is housing all these kids, and Mystique's coming down on them, saying, well, they're going to register, and X Factor is going to protect them as well. But it was really good. But I would recommend any story that had her leading Freedom Force in it, and there's a ton out there, but X Factor 8 through 11 has a good clash between X Factor and Freedom Force when it comes to the the government-led agencies and stuff like that, and the whole Mutant Registration Act type of situation. So I really like that storyline. But any Freedom Force, you can find her some Freedom Force stuff in X Factor, X-Men, and it's just all over the board, with Freedom Force. So definitely something to check out.
Absolutely. Good choices.
Thank you. All right, so this takes us to our next segment, which is our best writer and author. Sorry, blanked there for a minute. Chris disagrees. Destiny Star is more of the mother figure. Times and a lack of much backstory allowed him to explore alternative relationship between the two. Okay. Very good. All right, so for best writer and artist, I'll go first on this one. I had a lot of good possibilities, but I went with John Byrne and Chris Claremont. I couldn't pick somebody else over them, even though there's been a ton of good writing and a ton of good artists with her. I had to go with the classics. How about you, Dan? What did you go with?
Yeah, there's been a lot of good ones. I did like how Howard Mackey, wrote her for a long time when she joined X Factor, but ultimately I went with Brian K. Vaughan, launching the Mystique series. He set the tone for what that series was, and I liked all the way he handled it. And for art, I kind of wanted to go with Joseph Michael Lisner because the covers he did, were fantastic. But being just a cover artist for, I ultimately went with Jorge Lucas, who was also the artist on the beginning of the first Mystique series. So I like what him and Vaughn had going with it.
Yeah, very cool. All right, Uncle Gary, who you have?
Okay, well, first, I think what Chris says is valid, especially in Avengers Annual 10 and the early appearances, with Destiny being so much older than Raven was.
Yeah.
I think that was more of a mother, it was like a mother, grandmotherly kind of figure. And then as they kind of de-aged her a bit, they started exploring the other possibilities. And there was some, so I think it evolved. So I think when we're talking about Avengers Annual 10, I don't see that as the relationship that they have now. I see that more as the relationship Chris is describing then. So I think that did evolve over the years. And I think Claremont probably, Claremont hadn't had that fully evolved at that point, that it morphed into that. So I kind of agree with Chris on that. Who did you have for artist, Sal?
Byrne.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna agree with Dan for writer. I think Brian K. Vaughan. You could say Claremont each and every time on all these characters.
Yeah.
And you'd be right to do that. And I've done that too. So I'm just throwing out Vaughn to give a little love to somebody a little different that did a really good, did a pretty interesting take on the character. And to go against what I usually do, I usually don't go with cover artists because it's the interior artists that do the hard work. Mm-hmm. But damn, those Linzer covers were so amazing. So I'm gonna say Joseph Michael Linzer on that, just on the strength of those covers he did.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice.
Yeah. So I usually don't like to do that, but those covers were they were in fuego.
All right, Jamie, what do you have?
So I'm actually going to mimic the guys for a change and go with Brian K. Vaughan on this one. I just like the idea of, you don't see him anymore on any of the big two. He's just an independent writer more than anything, but to have him bring another character back to life is just, it's great to see. Gary said, you could say Chris Claremont all day, same way you could say George Perez on almost every single character that you have out there. If you want to
not be wrong,
your way out.
And not be wrong.
Who you like in DC that is drawing X, Y, and Z characters? Press.
Yeah.
But I'm going with a different version, I want to say, for my artist. And I forgot he was even part of it. But for Ultimate X-Men, I'm going with David Finch.
Oh,
that's a good choice.
That is a great choice.
So like I totally forgot until I looked at him again, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot he worked on this.
Yeah, I didn't even think about going with the Ultimate Universe stuff.
He knows his way around a beautiful woman. That's for sure. He knows how to draw beautiful women.
Yeah.
So, and deadly.
That is true.
Right. They always have points.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dan, did you go already? I forget.
Yeah. I had Vaughn and Lucas.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Good ones. All right. Okay. So, anybody in our chat have any ideas of who they liked? You can shout them out now, because now we've come to the end of the show and we can wrap this up and put this one to bed. Anybody have any final thoughts on Mystique?
Do we want Chris to talk more about his bowel movements?
That would be a no. We're going to do a pass on that one. But thank you very much for asking.
I know for a fact that every time we do a Marvel character, it just makes me have to do so much more research of stuff from the 80s to now, even the 70s. Like, I'm realizing more and more as we go down the hole of this. It's like, okay, I got the DC side covered, but when we get to Marvel, we're like X-Men related. I know what I know.
Would you believe I'm the exact opposite on you? I could do Marvel characters all day, but if it comes to DC characters outside of the big names, I'm going to have to do some big research on them.
And then every day, and then every now and then, some asshole throws in a Grimjack or a Warlord on you.
Actually, but the thing was, the Grimjack one had me. It captivated me right away. It wasn't like with Mystique as a character. It's like half knowledge and half, you know what I mean? So it was like shape shifting to someone that knew what they were doing.
There you go.
True.
Perfect theme.
But that's why we do this show, because we always pull up characters we don't know and we find out stuff about it.
I wonder how Jamie will do next week then. How's that for a tease?
Yeah. And who are we covering next week then?
That would be Ray Palmer, the Atom.
Yes.
Silver Age Atom.
I can't wait for that.
I think I look forward to that show. I've already.
That'd be my redemption arc.
There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we can go ahead and wrap this up. This has been the Codex Stations Comic Character of the Week. I'm your host, Sal the Slab Guy. Down below is Dan the Man Kelly. Right over there is the Ric Flair Comics. Woo! And of course, right there is the Master Builder, J-Dub. We will see you guys next week. Please take care. If we don't see you, please take care over the holidays. We will be back next week for the Atom. And of course, always catch us on Comics Unleashed After Dark on Saturday night.
Saturday night.
So take care, folks. We'll see you then.